a shower bouquet, and we are using for flowers and foliage soft Ruscus to give you a nice trail, some Alpe white roses, some gentiana, some Delphinium Ballkleid. I've just got one head of hydrangea bella blue and some myosotis, which is forget-me-not. So the brief on this one is blue and white. Now, I usually start with the tail, so a nice straight piece of soft Ruscus. So look over the foliage that you have and find the piece that's most appropriate. Now the base of the bouquet, or the tail of the bouquet, has quite a lot of weight to it. So anything that's trailing down and that's quite heavy, I would always recommend wiring into the bouquet holder. So if you cut the Ruscus so that you've got a
closer to you,
almost to hook the wire around, so that when you pull it, there's no way that's going to come off that wire.
So just before we start, should we say about the handle what we've done?
Alright, okay, so I've got a little bit of a construction going on here. The bouquet holder, which is a very old and trusted bouquet holder, I've actually just sellotaped the handle of the wet bouquet holder, just so it secures it, and then I've used, just to weigh down the base of the stand, a sellotape dispenser, because there's actually going to be quite a lot of weight in this bouquet when it's finished, because it's going to be quite a large bouquet. So, wiring the first part of the soft Ruscus, and push it into the bouquet holder, and then hook it over the cage of the bouquet holder so that it can't come out. So obviously when the bride's walking up the aisle and there's a lot of movement going on, when these foliage and flowers that are low move about, they can't literally wiggle free from the oasis. So just to build the tail up, again hooking around the first piece of branch of greenery, and then wiring into the bouquet holder. And again, just hook that top piece of wire over the cage so it can't come out. And you could potentially glue the stems into the holder if you prefer to. Just a personal choice thing, really. So, the glue does give added security, but it's not absolutely necessary if you're using the wiring. So there we've got the start of the tail of the bouquet. I'm going to start with something quite pale, so I'm going to start with the Delphinium Ballkleid. And again, a nice long straight piece that I'm going to use. I'm going to strip the majority of the foliage off. Don't really need it because it's quite bulky. And the same principle again. Got quite a little nose there on the stem, so by putting the wire around that node, it's actually going to stop the wire from sliding off. So again, following the line of the soft Ruscus that we used, and again hooking the wire over the cage. That's nice and sturdy, and that's not going anywhere. Okay, I'm going to add my next Delphinium, which which are nice and tangled together. Just separate those.
Just to say, whilst Debbie's just untangling the Delphinium, if anyone has any questions that they'd like to ask Debbie while she's doing the demonstration, please just don't hesitate to ask. We can.
So again, just hook wiring on a single leg mount, and then popping that in. I mean, you can leave some of the greenery on the stem, on the flower stem, because it just helps to fill in later on. Okay. Now I'm going to start adding some slightly different colouring in, so I'm going to add the slightly deeper Gentiana. Base flowers, or the longer flowers that are draping at the tail, I always wire. Now I'm going to start bringing in the focal flowers, which are in this case the white roses. As I say, this is Alpe d'Huez. I'm going to remove the outer guard petals, just so it makes the rose look slightly more aesthetically pleasing. And I'm going to remove thorns, just so we don't get any snags on the bride's dress. You can use a thorn stripper, you can use scissors. I'm just doing it manually. So then you've got nothing sharp to catch on the dress. Remove some of those lower leaves. Now I'm making this up the day before the wedding, so I'm just going to slit the rose up slightly so it opens the cell structure to more water, so therefore it should last that little bit better. And again, just wiring it into the tail. So as long as the stem actually goes into the oasis, so it's drinking, it should be quite happy. Next rose, and as before, little tip, if you're removing the outer guard petals, you can always save those for confetti for later on.
You're not, obviously.
I'm not on this occasion.
Chuck those straight in the bin.
My bride doesn't want them. Couple of thorns left there. Just get rid of those. Yeah. The last thing we want to see is a blood splatter on a nice white wedding dress. Okay, so I'm starting to form a line of roses that are going to go all the way through the bouquet. And I'm also now going to bring in some more of the slightly deeper colouring. So we've got that colour balance going all the way through. And you could just hook that wire around the bottom leaf. Itch. And then we'll slide that in. And now bringing in the next focal flower, which is our Alpe d'Huez rose. So we're gradually building up that line of roses that's going to go all the way through the bouquet. Now, as I say, this is quite a large shower bouquet I'm doing on this occasion. Obviously you'd bear in mind the dress that's the bride has, the bride's height, and obviously her size as well. Because obviously you would make a completely different size bouquet for a 6'2" bride that's a size 30 than one you would for a 4' nothing bride that's a size 0. So that's always something to bear in mind when you're doing a consultation. Just check on the dimensions of the bouquet that you're going to create. So I'm bringing the colouring in all the way through to the centre there. Some more glue in, Delphinium Ballkleid. I'm going to bring another rose in there, one there and one there, so you can see that line's going all the way through. The traditional shower bouquet is starting to become very popular again.
Why do you think that is?
I think it's a trend towards more retro, kind of vintage styles.
Yeah.
And the shower bouquet is lovely in the respect that it's very easy to handle, it's very easy to hold. There's no question about how you hold it because you've literally got the handle at the back that you clasp hold of, the shower bouquet cascades in front. So there's no question about what angle you hold it in. If you are quite nervous, it's a way to hold your hands. It's quite comfortable to hold. As a hand-tied bouquet, because you've got the natural stem, sometimes it's difficult to know how to position it. And when you hold a hand-tied bouquet straight, you see a side profile, and you don't always get the best view of the flowers. If you hold it towards the camera, you get a beautiful view of the flowers, but then you've got stems that are hitting you in the stomach. So the shower bouquet is quite an easy bouquet to handle.
Lisa said it already looks great.
Thank you. Nice to know we've got someone out there.
No, we got 82.
Oh my goodness.
We have, I know. It's fluctuating, but...
Okay, so starting to bring the side bits of the bouquet in now. Also, a long and slender shower bouquet on photographs will actually give the impression of a bride being taller and slimmer. If you have a very short, stubby bouquet, in effect it actually brings the bride's height down and makes her look shorter. So you'll be surprised, all your brides now will want tall, long, slender bouquets.
They'll have to do shower bouquets. I have to get Debbie in the case. On the case, sorry. I know a wonderful lady that can do shower bouquets.
It's so much easier to do shower bouquets now that we have beautiful bouquet holders that you can work with. When I first started in the trade, which is many, many years ago, we had to wire everything from scratch. So everything had to be done on the morning of the wedding because nothing was in water. So yeah, very many early 4 o'clock morning starts to complete a full shower bouquet. So yeah, these are a dream.
Luxury.
There's also very much a trend again now to having multicoloured bridesmaids dresses, so or shades of one hue, rather than everybody wearing the same thing, which is quite nice really, because no two people are ever the same, so it's quite nice to show that individuality.
Definitely.
So, we're actually bringing the sides of the bouquet up now. Then we're going to start, after I put the rose in after this, we'll start to bring in the top part of the bouquet, so the head of the shower bouquet.
We've got Helen here asking a question. She says, hi, this looks lovely. What flowers would be suitable if the bride wanted a very fragrant bouquet, but just creams with a hint of blue?
Okay, creams with a hint of blue. Okay.
So you've always got the garden roses.
Yeah.
There's quite a number of garden roses that have that fragrance to them. White and creams you could go for.
What time of year is it?
What time of year is it, Helen? I didn't get that in the question. So the garden roses you could go for.
Garden roses.
Patience,
Yeah.
purity,
Alabaster.
alabaster, vitality.
Yeah,
That's a nice creamy one.
If you want one with a hint of pink, White O'Hara is absolutely beautiful and beautifully fragranced. Other fragrance flowers, freesias, but they're more of a white than they are cream. Sweet peas, lily of the valley, stocks, peonies if it's the right time of the year.
Yeah, it's in June, so yeah.
Peonies would be fantastic. Anything I would say with stocks is if you are using them in a shower bouquet and you want to bring them to the tail, bear in mind that they will bend to the light. So that's something I'd recommend doing on the actual morning of the wedding, or keep them very much to the body of the shower bouquet upright rather than cascading down. What else can I think of that's fragrant?
You nailed it, really.
If you don't want to go with the Colombian garden roses for fragrance, but you do still want a white rose that's got fragrance, then you might like to think of Norma Jean. That's a nice rose.
So thank you, ladies. That's brilliant information. We do like to help.
So I'm starting with the head of the bouquet now. Basically giving the shape to the bouquet. Crown or the head. Basically I'm going to build that up so you've got a nice traditional shaped shower. I'm not wiring any of the foliage that's going into the head of the shower bouquet. It shouldn't be necessary. Did think I'd have my bin next to me so I look like I'm a nice, clean and tidy worker. As you can see, that's not working.
A bit like last week then.
Exactly. At least I'm not standing in it today.
That's true.
Another little tip with wedding bouquets is if the bride is wearing a white or ivory dress and you're then creating a bouquet that's white or ivory, bear in mind on the photographs the two colours will blend together and you won't see the flowers very well. So my suggestion is to have some kind of foliage to act as a frame between the dress and the flowers. In this case, if it's an ivory dress, the blues and the greens will show up against the dress quite happily, and they form a frame for the white flowers that are through the centre.
So we've got Joanne here saying, would you make this the night before the wedding?
Yes.
Yes, Joanne, we are making for tomorrow.
A hand-tied bouquet can be done the night before as well, and then just finish the stems off with a nice decorative handle on the morning.
Thank you.
Right, so you can see we've got roughly that outline of shape there.
So we've got another question from Helen. We've got, how far in advance would you need to order freesia for this type of bouquet, and how would you prepare them, please?
Okay, so freesias normally take 3 to 4 days to open in a slightly warmer domestic environment. So for a Saturday wedding, I would recommend you start preparing them or condition them around about Tuesday. So if you are ordering online, you can do that from the previous Tuesday to get that Tuesday delivery. When you condition them, remove the cellophane that's around them, allow the air to circulate quite happily and freely through the flowers, so there's literally nothing to restrict them from fully opening. Yeah, and then they should be fully developed, ready for the Saturday. It's much easier to hold something back if it's opening too quickly than it is to force it open. So if by the Thursday, Friday they're opening slightly quicker than you anticipate, then pop them somewhere nice and cool and dark, and then it holds them in suspended animation almost.
Perfect. And then we've got Caitlin here who says, I wish the bouquet holders were made slightly larger, as sometimes it's hard to get all the flowers in without the oasis splitting. Have you got any tips for?
Okay, first tip is don't over soak the oasis, because it makes it very brittle and very soft. Obviously you have to soak it sufficiently so that all stems drink, but yeah, don't soak it too hard, too much. I would also say that if you are wiring, you don't have to put quite so much of the stem into the bouquet than you would if you don't wire. If you don't wire, you need to put a certain amount of stem into the oasis to anchor it, which actually makes holes and inroads into the oasis, so it is going to eventually crack if you've got a huge amount of stems in there. So by wiring, that helps.
So we've got Rachel that likes to use the glue as well, especially on the outer edge, foliage and with shorter flowers.
Yeah.
And then we've got another question, how do you remember everything? All the information you need to know about so many different types of flowers, seasons, etc. Just stored in your little memory.
Okay. I try and remember, but as I'm getting older, it's not quite so easy. I like to think of my brain as a bit of a filing cabinet, and sometimes you put so much in that stuff falls down the back so you can't retrieve it. That's when you forget. But no, I try. I think I've been doing it so long, I've kind of got, I don't know, I guess I've got that in my brain. I remember varieties and colours. But to be fair, there are so many new varieties coming onto the market all of the time. It's almost impossible to keep up with absolutely everything. But yeah, I do try and remember them.
I'm not going to name drop here, but Triangle Nursery have a fabulous website. We've got lots of information on our website, all about the seasons, all about the flower guides. So if you do have any questions about when specific varieties are available, the best thing to do is just to pop over to the website, or even just give us a call on our direct line, and then we can help you with anything that you need.
And the other thing also is our website is an incredibly good tool, because you can, if you are preparing to do a wedding, you can actually filter colourings, and then that will give you the options on certain colours of certain varieties of flowers. So you can do your research and then come back and then place your order. Also, a really good tool as well that you're able to use on our website is when you place the order, you can get a pictorial resume when you place the order, which shows you all the colours and the combinations that you selected. So you get kind of like a bird's eye view of how that works, and that's another useful tool.
So you've got Laura saying, what colour flowers would you put with teal, please? Our wedding is in June.
Oh, teal is a really difficult colour. Okay, so I'm guessing it's teal bridesmaids. There isn't really a true teal flower variety.
That's great.
I mean, there are things like peacock feathers and things like that, accessories that you can add in to give that teal colouring. Depends how vibrant you want to go. If you want to tone it down, I'd go for sort of creams and whites and greens, greys possibly, so keep it quite muted. If you actually want to make it really vibrant, then go for opposites in the colour wheel, so like oranges, cerises and things like that. That's going to be a really eclectic mix. It does very much depend on the colours that you want to go for. I mean, also burgundies and sort of winter autumnal colours can work quite well with teal as well. So I think that's helpful.
Is that any help, Laura?
She's gone quiet.
Yes. Well, especially in June, you get a wealth of flowers available to you, really. So you've got the majority of flowers have become quite year round with their availability. So you do have a brilliant choice. And you've even got peonies available in June.
Absolutely. Some of the coral colours can work really well with teal. The coral charm, depending on what you combine with it, but corals and teals work quite well.
They do.
And they're almost opposites in the colour wheel, so they're a complementary colour. It's going to be really difficult to achieve anything that's going to be sort of a close colour match. So you might have to bring accessories in if you really want to reinforce that teal colouring. Yeah, hopefully that's helpful. Okay, so we've got the shape of the bouquet, as you can see. And I am now going to add in the rest of the, just finish with a bit more wire sodas up here. I'm going to add the rest of the roses in now to reinforce that colour throughout. I'm going to wire this last rose in, but the rest of them I shouldn't need to. Blues and whites are lovely colours together, but blue is probably one of the least luminous colours that there is. So from a distance, the blue's not going to stand out terribly well. So, by having the white background, that will just help.
Very true. So Joanne's just asked what we've got in the bouquet, so just giving you a brief as you didn't catch the first part of the video. So we've got roses, we've got Alpe hues. So a really nice white rose. What centimetre are these, Debs?
They are a 60 centimetre.
So they've still got a really nice head on them. We've got soft ruscus as our foliage. And then we've got the Delphinium Ballkleid, I like to say. The Gentiana. And then are they the dark sky?
Yep, they are dark sky, I think.
And then we've got some forget-me-nots as well.
And I'm going to use to
And a
fill in
hydrangea.
with one rather sad hydrangea by the look of it, because I've snapped it off.
And we've got a little hydrangea that we're going to assumedly put in the middle.
Indeed.
Place, position. Elegantly.
We hope.
I said that really quite badly.
Okay, so building up the size of the bouquet as we go along. Obviously everybody has their own way of creating the shape, and everybody works in a different way, but I've always found it easier to work from the base, then around, then to the middle, and then fill in as a general rule of thumb, the longer the stem of rose you buy, the larger the head. I would usually recommend a 60 centimetre stem for most bridal work. You could then order a slightly shorter stem in the same variety of the buttonholes.
So we've got Laura asking, how far in advance would you make the buttonholes, please?
I'm a bit of a fusspot where buttonholes are concerned. I prefer to make them up on the day of the wedding, as close as possible to delivery time, simply because they are going to be out of water. So as soon as the flower is taken out of water, it's going to start to fade. So if it can be done at the very last minute, then that's best. On the very rare occasion where time has been impossible for us to do them on the morning, we have made them the night before, left the stems free and popped those into a little bit of oasis and just finished them off the morning after. But that's not something I would prefer to do.
So we've got Rachel saying, how would you ladies determine the length of a shower bouquet against the bride? Looking gorgeous.
Right.
Debbie or the bouquet?
Definitely the bouquet.
Oh, we've got Sophie Johnson. She says, this is my sister-in-law's bouquet. Oh, no, don't look, Sophie.
Oh, no, please don't tell her.
Don't tell her either.
Don't be surprised.
Don't let her on here. Okay, back to Rachel's question.
Oh, sorry. How would you determine size? Okay. Sometimes a bride will actually be very specific on the size of bouquet that she wants. A bride will particularly request a large bouquet because she likes that look and it's quite vogue. Sometimes they'll be quite specific about wanting something quite small, quite delicate, quite petite. So that's your first thing to take into account, what the bride actually wants, because it's her day at the end of the day. Then I would usually try not to go outside the confines of the dress. So if the dress is very narrow, very tight fitting or fishtail, I'd keep the bouquet very narrow. So in any parts of the bouquet that tend to go outside of the confines of the dress, as it were, if you imagine the dress as a frame for the bouquet, anything that goes outside of the confines on the photographs almost look like the bouquet's been cut off. So I would stick to using the dress as a frame. Obviously, if the bride is quite tall, I would recommend that you do something a little bit longer. If she's quite short, do something shorter. Also, the train will have an effect as well. If you've got a very long train at the back of the dress, you can therefore afford to have a slightly longer bouquet, because in the views of aesthetic balance, it kind of works.
Movements there. I like your arm movements there.
I'm starting to fly. It's getting late, I need a coffee.
I know. I need a gin and tonic. Coffee.
Yeah, sounds like a plan.
It is a Friday at the end of the day.
Right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. So we're going to end up with 15 or 16 roses in this.
So Helen asks, what flowers would you recommend to use for the buttonholes? If you have to make the day before, that would stand, not fade as much, please.
Okay, so roses are fairly hardy, but if you want something that's going to be really hardy, then perhaps use, if you're going for a if you're going for a more rustic feel to the buttonholes, then perhaps something like berries such as hypericum, perhaps eryngium, craspedia, things like that actually would be quite happy out of water overnight, and they would last without a problem at all. Things like freesias, phalaenopsis orchids, lisianthus, anything that's really soft, I strongly would recommend you do not do those the day before, because they will fade and they'll mark very easily. Having said that, Lysianthus is not something I'd recommend as a buttonhole anyway, because they're not very durable, and when you're hugging and kissing in the receiving line, they can get squashed really quickly and look really messy. So again, personal choice, but I'd stick to roses or the slightly harder flowers to use the day before.
Fabulous advice.
Okay, so nearly there on the focal flowers.
So she said, would sea holly be available? That is eryngium, isn't
That's
it?
eryngium,
Yeah.
yeah.
So eryngium, which is the thistles, is also known as sea holly. So yeah, they would be.
Okay, so I'm just adding a couple of pieces of myosotis just to reinforce that shape in there. Then we've got our beautiful hydrangea to fill it with. Now, hydrangea is, I tried to explain to somebody on the phone. I tried to explain to somebody on the phone the other day what a hydrangea looked like. They weren't sure what a hydrangea was like to work with. You can imagine it almost like a floret of broccoli. You can, this is your broccoli head. You can actually snap some of the pieces off and use those really low in a bouquet. I'll show you how. So for cutting small pieces, imagine that's one little tiny broccoli floret. You can actually pop those into the bouquet. I'm actually going to wire those because they're a bit softer than I thought they were going to be. Just gives them that little bit of extra support. I'm going to put those into the bouquet. That's just helping to fill up the centre.
Can you just give a close-up of how you're wiring that, Debs?
Yeah, of course. So just pushing the wire through. Sorry, cat-handed tonight. Bring the two ends down together and wire it round. So the stem is still going to go into the oasis, but it's just got that little bit of support to push it in that wee bit further. Now hydrangeas are quite unique in the respect that they drink from the heads as well as the stems. So if you're ever using them in an arrangement, spray the heads and that just helps for them to take up extra moisture, extra water.
Rachel just said, I hope they're paying you overtime for working this late.
I do it because I love it.
And it is a family business, so I can't really complain.
Oh, there's you, not me.
Yeah, sorry. I'm on my own here. Elspeth, what size wire are we using to wire the hydrangeas?
These are a 71, so 0.71. Actually, are they? No, I think they're 56. I do apologise. They're 56. I'm giving you wrong information there. They're not the heaviest, so they're not the same wire you'd use for a gerber. So yeah, they're a 56.
So with the gerber, is the wire just slightly thicker?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, with a gerber.
Just to give it more
They
stability.
need yeah, absolutely. They need a little bit more support, gerbers. So.
Thank you, Paula. She said, I love your page and your videos. we got Joanne who's saying, are all of these flowers available for the end of July?
Yeah.
Yes, they are.
Definitely.
You are in luck, Joanne.
Just got to find where my little wire went. So hydrangeas can actually appear to be very expensive, especially at the moment. When you see what I've just achieved with just one head, they're actually quite a cost-effective flower, because they do go a long way.
Oh, someone just made a sad face.
Sorry?
Someone just did a sad face, not too sure why.
Why?
I don't know.
Okay.
Got to like. It's okay. Beautiful, great job, ladies. Thank you.
Excellent.
Can't really take any of the credit. Debbie is the one doing the bouquet here.
So I'm just going to use the little buds from the Delphinium, because they give a bit of interest, a bit of texture, and help to add a little bit of movement. Perhaps the sad face is because they know we're working and it's late Friday night.
That could be why, that could be. Victoria's just put, stunning flowers, wouldn't like to be the one cleaning the floor later though. I think we'll leave it till tomorrow.
That will be me. I always have to clear up what I created. Yeah, because I'd get in so much trouble for the rest of the girls if I didn't. Now, what I would also recommend with a shower bouquet, or in fact any kind of bouquet, is when you've finished it, go and have a look at it in a mirror, because what you see when you look at it is not what you would see if it's reflected in a mirror. So if you imagine when it's reflected in a mirror, that's what other people will see. So hold it up in the mirror and you will actually see places where you need to make adjustments. So that's a really good tip.
So I like the words that Helen have just said. You both deserve a trip to the pub with a G&T. See, now she's talking. Our language.
Like her style. Or 2 G&Ts.
Oh no, now she's getting a bit carried away. I have got work tomorrow.
One tiny little gap in the middle there, which could do with something a little bit more raised. I'm just going to add a little piece of myosotis into the middle. I can't believe we've still got forget-me-nots. They're usually out of season by now.
So Rachel says, what are you going to do with the bouquet holder? Would you put ribbon on it, or will you just leave it?
I'd probably leave this one because it's quite a heavy bouquet. So the plastic of the handle is actually, it's got more grip to it. If you add a satin ribbon or some kind of ribbon to it, it makes it quite slippery. It's not quite so easy to handle. So on this occasion, I'm not going to decorate the handle. How I would deliver it is I would have a box covered with tissue paper, make a hole in the box, and then slide the bouquet handle into the hole so it actually lays flat on top of the box. That's the best form of transportation. And there, I remove the sellotape on the holder.
Really stuck on.
Certainly haven't intended for that to come out. you have the shower bouquet.
Beautiful. Let's just get a close up. So really beautiful with the roses. Has anyone got any questions before we leave you all?
I'm just going to hold that into the middle there so you can see what it's like.
Got a birthday girl sign.
Yeah. Sorry.
Everyone loves it. If you turn it to the side, then you can see what she was saying earlier about that you have that nice side image when you take photographs and things like that. Isn't it? Got lots of loves and lots of hearts. Say goodbye.
Bye. Signing off for a gin and tonic till next week.